The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. This week's special guest will join us a bit later. But first up is another great discussion on Coach's Corner. So let's introduce tonight's Coach's Corner panel.
Welcome back, everybody, and I'm excited to have tonight's featured guest, Geoffrey Skoch. He is the Chief Operating Officer for Ship Sticks, and he significantly has contributed to their operational excellence and growth since joining as the fourth employee back in 2013 and becoming the COO in 2014. His prior experience includes managing Aberdeen LLC, which he oversaw golf courses and successfully hosted the Corn Ferry Tour in Cleveland, enhancing local golf tourism. His expertise in logistics and financial management has been pivotal in strengthening the company's operational capabilities. And just on an educational note, he holds a BS from Cleveland State University. So very well-educated man, very nice guest, and glad to have him join me tonight. So Jeff, welcome back to Golf Talk Live.
Yeah, Ted, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
I appreciate it. So travel, we're kind of in the thick of travel season right now. We're going to get into some specifics in that, but just what was sort of the premise? Why do you think, Ship Sticks sort of came about? What was because I mean, obviously, you can ship things with all kinds of different carriers and things like that. And we're going to get into a little deeper dive in a moment, but what was sort of the concept behind, why did this sort of begin? What was the thought in putting Ship Sticks together?
Yeah, the concept from our founders really came about, for the ease of use and, being able to really travel from, one stop to multiple stops without the hassles of having to lug your golf clubs, through the airports and with the airlines. And so, obviously you always have had the opportunity to be able to ship with, FedEx and UPS and the big carriers, but really the value add that, our founders thought of early on was how do we add more service, more white glove experience to the consumer to be able to trust in a company to ensure that, their golf clubs, which are, super important to us, and, make sure that they get from point A to point B, not only on time, but safely as well.
Yeah, and you raise a really good point because, I don't travel as much as I used to, but, for a lot of those out there that are traveling a lot, especially, if you're flying, if you're driving, okay, you can throw them in the back. But sometimes that can be a hassle because it takes up a lot of room, even with an SUV, if you've got, a group of you going, if you've got to force them going, you're driving somewhere. And it's nice to, I've flown before in the past. I've had my clubs with me, obviously they were stored down below. And I got back and boy, they were beat up pretty bad, clubs missing and all that kind of stuff. So that's a big thing. I mean, for golfers, clubs are our baby. We want to make sure they're there and we want to be able to play. And so this is something that you guys had to really think about when you were putting Ship Sticks together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously we've seen all the horror stories, with the airlines and, the way that, golf clubs are treated when you're traveling with the airlines. And so, this is an alternative solution, that provides, again, that white glove service and that level of trust to ensure that, your baby, my babies, everybody's, baby is getting from point A to B again on time and safely. And so, it's been a really neat evolution over the last, 12, 13 years to see the concept, not only come to life, but to see, golfers like you and I adopt the service, as well as all of our partners, around the globe and really have a service that they can trust in, to be able to get their golf clubs from, one point to another, safely and quickly.
So talk about some of the differences. You've mentioned white glove a couple of times, and I understand what that means. But explain what you're referring to and how that differs from dealing with some of the other services like FedEx and even the Postal Service and things like that. Dealing with those organizations as opposed to dealing with Ship Sticks to send those clubs wherever they need to go.
Yeah, great question. Really, it's really a concierge service, right? It's making sure that the customer and the partner, one, are not only aware of the shipment that may be coming inbound and or outbound, but also working with the logistics providers and coordinating with the logistics providers to make sure pickups are happening on time, to make sure that the customer is selecting and has the right service level to meet their needs for their travel, and then going above and beyond, making sure that they have the necessary supplies needed to ship, making sure that if they need a box, we're able to get them a box either from ourselves and or one of our 3,500 partners around the globe. So really, it's that high level, high touch concierge service that makes the process easy for the consumer, leaves the stress to us, and really allows us to coordinate with the logistics providers to get those clubs there on time. And in addition to that, Ted, it can be difficult in some instances dealing with larger companies like FedEx, UPS, and if there is an issue, right, we have a great customer support team that is there to support you and make sure that if there is any issue that's being handled in a timely fashion. And again, that confidence is built in the customer.
And that again raises another great point as well, is because I know, listen, trust me, I could share 1,000 horror stories of having to deal with companies for different things, and not just some of the ones we mentioned, but I want to know that if I'm going to be shipping something, let's say if I was going next week and I needed my clubs to be there at a certain time, I want to be able to have that set up. I want to have somebody be able to take care of that for me, and and you can walk us through a little bit in a moment, how the process works. But I also want to be able to reach somebody if there is an issue, because I don't care who it is. Issues can come up. I mean, it's just a fact of life.
Sure,
But
absolutely.
it's nice to be able to have somebody and say, hey, um, you know, what's happening here? I thought they were going to be here, whatever the case is. So walk us through the process. What happens? So if I'm a customer of Ship Sticks and I'm leaving next week on a trip and I need to get my clubs safe and sound up to, let's say, Chicago as an example, how much leeway, what's the process that goes on, and am I able to track where they are at any given time, whether it's directly through you guys or through an app or what have you? Sort of walk us through the process, how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a great technological platform as well as an app that allows customers to go online and or through the app and process their shipment. And they can process both domestic and international shipments through both of those paths. And really, Ted, it's a simple process. We need your origination information, destination information, and then you'll be provided with different service level options, really depending on where you're shipping from and where you're shipping to, and how quickly you need them. So it could be anywhere from 1 day for overnight service, or it could be as much as 4 days, for domestic ground service. So it really just depends. There's several options that are customizable to what your needs are, what your travel schedule is. And then once that shipment is processed, it's fairly simple. You can either ship your golf clubs directly in the travel bag itself and or a box. If you don't have a box, again, you can get one from one of our 3,500 partners, and or we can send it right to your house. And then once that label is on the box and or the travel bag, we take it from there, right? We're coordinating with our logistic partners to have that picked up. You also have the option to drop it off at a local carrier store. And then we really monitor it from the time that it's picked up until the time that it's delivered. So, we have internal tracking systems to ensure that everything is on time and that set of golf clubs is where it needs to be when it needs to be there. And then also we have transparency with the customer, right? So they have the ability to go on either the app and or our website and track their clubs, again, from the time that it's picked up until the time that it's delivered. So full visibility, full transparency. But again, we also have our great customer service team internally that is watching each and every single shipment throughout the whole process.
That sounds great. And I mean, and that's what people are looking for. Again, because as you and I both know, golf clubs are not cheap. I mean, they can, depending on what you're playing with, they can be pretty costly. And so, that's an investment, and you want to, make sure that they're going to arrive and obviously in good condition. Playing a little devil's advocate here, in the event, and it does happen, I'm sure, where something doesn't get there, let's say on time, does ShipStick have some sort of a backup plan? Is there, what procedure happens there? Do you have partners where we say, okay, it's not going to get there, we know you're playing on Tuesday, there's an issue, whatever it may be? What sort of can you do at that point to help that individual out so they're not just feeling, okay, now I got no clubs, for the first part of my trip?
Yeah, great question. And that is really where we shine, right? And so, we'll go above and beyond and take whatever measures we need to ensure that those golf clubs, or any other of our products that we ship are there on time, whether that's working with the logistics providers to penetrate their network and get that shipment out of the network and into, a third party's hands to ensure that, it's delivered on time. But in the event that for whatever reason, it does happen. It doesn't happen often, but that it does happen. We have, several solutions for that customer, where our team will coordinate to have rental clubs, shoes, balls,
Right.
whatever it is that they need, until their clubs arrive. So, by no means are we leaving any customer high and dry. We'll make sure that they're well taken care of and have what they need. But obviously, our number one priority is to make sure that those golf clubs are getting there. And again, we'll go to any measure that we possibly can to ensure that those clubs are delivered on time. And we're a company of golfers ourselves, so we understand the importance of having your golf clubs and how important some of these golf trips can be to people, right? It's once in a lifetime opportunity to go to some of these locations, and we understand that. And so, that's why our team goes to whatever extent needed to make sure that those are on the first tee waiting for you when you arrive.
Yeah, and that's extremely important because, if you're hitting that bucket list, maybe you're playing Pinehurst for the first time and you want to get there, there's no worse feeling than showing up and excited to play and everything didn't show up. So
That's right.
that's extremely important, and that is a testament to ShipStick's customer service and your team efforts there to make sure that doesn't happen. So I appreciate you sort of shedding some light on that. So as far as talk about pricing a little bit, because I want people to understand. I mean, obviously there's different levels of service that can be applied, but just maybe give us an idea of what some of the things that we might be talking about. So what are some of the levels of service? What are there add-ons? How does that work as well? Do we have sort of a one standard rate, and then if you want to add on for additional services or features or what have you of the program, how does that work?
Yeah, so our base rate is for our ground service, which again, it really just depends on where you're shipping from and to, and the transit time of that. But our ground service starts at $49.99 and goes up to $79.99. But then again, you have several other options if they're needed, overnight from New
Sure.
York to Los Angeles. We can get those there for you for, about $159.99. And the
Wow.
international is a little bit more expensive.
Good.
But again, when you think about the convenience, and not having to deal with airports like Heathrow and some of
Yeah.
these nightmares that we've seen over the years, the convenience certainly outweighs the hassle of having to lug your clubs through multiple airports and then again relying on those airlines and those airports to make sure that your clubs are where they need to be and when they need to be there. So, we have a wide variety of options, that can be tailored to anybody's travel needs. And the price is, from a ground perspective, relatively competitive with the airlines. But it's not all about price for our customers. It really comes down to that convenience, the level of service that they're receiving. And, I'm a firm believer, and I'm sure a majority of our customers are as well, is that once you ship your clubs once, more than likely you're not going to be lugging them through the airport after that. So,
Yeah.
But again, it's whatever service that we can provide to our customers, or what we can do to meet their needs. We're here to do that.
Yeah, and again, that's a huge thing because again, I can tell you from personal experience, long before you guys came on the scene, um, you didn't have a lot of options. You either lugged them yourself, and you sort of took a risk, and especially nowadays with air travel being so challenging to say the least. Um, that's one less thing that you really want to have to worry about. And again, and it's a big item. I mean, it's not like a small little carry on. I mean, golf clubs, and especially if you're going with a group, now you've got 4 sets of golf clubs, or if it's a couple, you got 2, and just to stow them below. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've seen how they handle some of the baggage. So that's a good. But I think what I really am impressed about Ship Sticks is the fact that you do go the extra mile for your customers. It's not just, okay, well, thank you, we're going to ship it off, and let us know if it gets there. You're there monitoring the process. They're able to monitor the process, and you're able to respond in a timely fashion. Should issues do arise. I want to talk about a little bit between domestic and international as well, because you brought that up. What would you say currently, ballpark it if you have to, your domestic business compared to international? And are you seeing, just with now that travel is starting to open up a little bit more post-COVID, more increase in international business as well? Give us some feedback on that.
Yeah, I mean, international has really been one of our biggest, growth sectors in the business, more specifically after COVID, and
Sure.
when travel did open up. We've seen an astounding, rise in our international business, and the relationships and the partnerships that we've been able to, build over the last couple of years, from an international perspective has been fantastic. So, I would say our international business is about 20% of our overall business. Obviously, domestic is still, a big chunk of that. But, to see the growth internationally is super exciting. And, from an international perspective too, I think one of the important things to realize with our service is all the customs processes, paperwork, that goes along with an international shipment is all handled by our team. So, really from a booking process, it's no different than a domestic. But again, everything is being handled by our team on the back end to ensure that, again, those golf clubs are on the first tee or in your hotel room waiting for you, and that you're not having to, worry about customs or anything of that nature. And so, yeah, I mean, international has been, really fun to see that growth and experience and work with these different partners abroad, to provide a service that ultimately makes it more convenient for all of us golfers.
Yeah, and again, when you're dealing with international and as you said, customs and things like that, for you guys, you've got it down to a science. The deal, how it works. But for the average person, that, let's be honest, it's, unless they're really, really travel savvy, or go through somebody that's a little bit more that inclined, it's challenging, and there's a lot of things that people don't factor in. So it's nice to have somebody. Again, you're talking about a very expensive, product that you're shipping. People don't want to, just sort of rely on sort of flying by the seat of their pants. So obviously, travel has become more robust post COVID for you guys. You're seeing a big benefit just because of what you're offering, not just shipping it, but just the whole concierge type atmosphere. What have been some of the top destinations for ship? What's your top 3 destinations for Ship Sticks? Both domestic,
Internationally?
both
Both,
domestic.
both.
Give us
Yeah.
domestic, and then give us international. What's
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't do it without our partners, right? And so domestically, Bandon Dunes, Pebble Beach, Pinehurst, all the big resorts have been fantastic partners for us in our the biggest destinations. I would say number one on the domestic side is most definitely Bandon Dunes. Obviously, we all know, for those of us that have been there, how hard it is to get to Bandon Dunes. So,
yeah.
Bandon Dunes, highly recommends our service when coming in and out of their facility, which is fantastic. On the international side, a lot of seasonality to the business on the international
Sure.
side, right? So, our big trade lanes for international is obviously Ireland, United Kingdom, Scotland, really Western Europe. But we're really starting to see a rise, Ted, in Portugal, Spain. I know there's a lot of great golf over there, but it's really cool to see those trends and where people are traveling, and so yeah, that's that's our top destinations, both domestically and internationally.
Are you seeing, and you may not be doing it at this point, but are you seeing an opportunity? Because there's obviously been a big rise, international, not just in some of the places you mentioned, but we're seeing in a lot of the Asian blocks now, South Korea, Cambodia. I mean, every place that you could ever imagine that you'd never think there was a golf course, boy, they're popping up, all over the place. Vietnam, I mean, there's just a lot of travel going there now because it's unique, it's different than what people are used to. Are you seeing, do you have opportunities at this point? Is that something you guys are working on? And do you see that being blossoming into a big part of your business in the future as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Asian market has really boomed, and golf has really grown in those markets. And yes, we will definitely be there to be a part of that, and be able to offer our service to those locations.
Number one destination that you'd want to ship your clubs to? Where would you
Oof,
go?
that is a tough question. I would say domestically, would have to probably be Bandon Dunes. I think that is a special spot, great spot to be with your friends. I think on the international front, I'm a big fan of Ireland. I think they have a lot of great golf over there. It's a good time. So those would be my two top destinations if I was traveling.
Now we got the Open coming up next week. Have you got some folks that are heading over that way that you're shipping some club? I mean, obviously you can't give specifics, but are you doing some shipping over there in preparation for the Open?
Yeah, we certainly do. And it's funny, we actually do probably more on the return after the Open,
Sure.
just because of, the different travel arrangements that either the players have and or guests that are attending the Open have, throughout Europe and or other parts of Ireland. So yeah, we do see a spike this time of year, which is great. And, I think it's a fantastic venue in Royal Portrush this year. And, so
Yeah.
we're super excited for next week and to see what unfolds.
You guys have a partnership with the PGA of America. Talk about that. I know you're excited about that partnership.
Yeah, that's a new partnership for us this year. Obviously, we've worked closely with the PGA of America, since day one. The business was really founded on that B2B model and partnering with those golf facilities, country clubs, golf clubs, and really providing them with a platform, technology, and a service backbone that they could offer the service to their members and guests. And so they've always played an integral part in the service. And, to be able to solidify a partnership with them for the next 3 years is super exciting for us. And, to be able to work closer with the PGA professionals and, grow our service, not just with golf, but our other verticals as well, is something that we're super excited about. And can't be more appreciative of what the PGA and those professionals have done for our service and the game of golf in general.
And when we spoke the last time, you mentioned that you guys ship skis as well, which is kind of interesting, which I would have never thought.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, tell us about how did that come about?
Anything that's a hassle to travel with, we've gotten into being able to ship it. But skis came about in 2014 and really came from our existing customer base, right? They came to us and said, "Hey, you guys have done such a great job shipping our golf clubs. We obviously, travel out west and ski in the winter months. Are you
Sure.
able to ship skis?" And so we said, absolutely. So, we launched our ship skis vertical in 2014, and we've since launched a couple other verticals to handle luggage, and
Wow.
most recently Ship and Play, which is our new parent company, which we're super excited about. And we have a long runway ahead of us and a lot of opportunity to attempt to really revolutionize and change the way in which people think about traveling, right? As you alluded to earlier, there's really only been one option when you're traveling, and that is to lug it through the airport, wait at the long baggage lines. And, these airports aren't getting any less crowded, and the airlines aren't making it easier. So, we really feel that our service is, a game changer and an opportunity to allow people to travel differently. And, maybe even enjoy travel again, when you're walking through the airport, bagless. So super exciting time here at the company. And, again, we have a long runway ahead of us and we're excited about it.
What's the best part of your job? What do you love the most about working with Ship Sticks?
Yeah, good question. Every day is a different challenge, right? I think the relationships, again, that we've been able to build with our partners and understanding how their facilities operate and the service that they want to provide to their members and guests. And being in a company like this and being able to adapt to their needs and provide them services that they need has been super rewarding and exciting. As well as working with our partners FedEx, UPS, and DHL, and understanding how their networks work and how these golf clubs and luggage and skis travel through their network, and continuing to work with them to become more efficient and provide a better service to our customers through those relationships that we've been able to build with them. So every day is a new challenge. Every
Yeah.
day is exciting, but no shortfall of work here for sure.
So where are you shipping your clubs to next?
Where am
Where's
I shipping my
yeah,
golf
where are you
clubs to
going next?
next? Yeah, my next agenda is out to Las Vegas. So excited about that.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's it's interesting. It's when I look at how things have changed in our industry over the last decade or so, and now we've got AI and we've got all this new high technology coming into the place, which I know you guys are integrating and probably have in some level. Do you just see it getting even more efficient and more streamlined than what it was in 2014, 2015? Are you seeing a big change because of the technological changes in equipment and things like that now, in software programs? Are you seeing where your business is going to even be that much better? It's hard to believe it could get better than what it already is, but do you see that really being a big growth spurt in the next maybe couple of years?
Yeah, we really do. I mean, we really feel that the technology that is out there today, and some of the opportunities that we have on the horizon, is really customer centric and focused in making the process simpler for the customer. Ted, one example of that is we recently just partnered with Uber for first and last mile delivery. So being able to
Oh,
utilize
wow.
to pick up, your golf clubs, your luggage, your skis, whatever it is, from your house at 12:05 tomorrow, right, is a big deal versus where the carriers give you a range of 2 to 4, right? So being able to leverage that technology, eliminate the need to print labels, and be more specific to people's needs and or time constraints is, something that we're super excited about and something that we feel our customers will, continue to take advantage of in, thinking about using our service again, over, lugging that stuff through the airport and again, waiting at those baggage lines, renting bigger cars, and really just saving time. I think in today's world, time means a lot to people, as does convenience. And so anything that we can do to create a better service, a better product for our customer, we're going to leverage that technology to be able to do that.
So just sort of one last thought here. So if I'm shipping something to, we'll just use as an example, Las Vegas, and now I'm coming home, what's the process that basically I just swap out a new label and it now is picked up at my hotel or wherever I am, and then
Yeah.
it makes its way back until I get home and there's my golf clubs?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. It doesn't matter if you're shipping from your home, your business, a hotel, a resort, right? We have the ability to, communicate with those locations, make sure that you have your shipping label, make sure that the facility has your shipping label, and that bag is ready to be picked up by, one of our third party couriers and or carriers, to ensure that you're not stressing about that, right?
Right.
That's where we come into play, is working with those bellmen, working with the front desk, working with those shipping and receiving departments to coordinate, with them to make sure that your golf clubs are labeled, are available for carrier pickup, and en route to your destination when they're supposed to be.
That sounds good. If the folks want to get more information, where can they go? What's the website they can go to check Ship Sticks out?
Yeah, shipsticks.com. You can get anything from a quote, book your shipment, learn more about the service, learn how to pack your golf clubs, as well as all the other items that we're able to ship in our other brands.
Sounds good. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for coming on and shedding some light. It sounds like you guys have got a lot of great things coming up, not only existing, but coming up in the future. And congratulations on your new partnership relationship with the PGA of America. I know that you guys are going to do them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that, I'm sure it's long overdue. I know that they've needed it for a long time. So I'm glad that you guys have been able to step up and help. And I think it's going to be a great relationship moving forward. But thank you very much for coming on tonight, sharing that. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys as well on a separate level. But I'm looking forward to doing that. But I appreciate you coming on. And let me just remind everybody, of course, if you want to catch this broadcast, you can go to our YouTube channel, iGolf Sports, or on Spotify. And if you want to just catch the audio version, you can go to Spreaker.com or basically wherever you typically listen to your audio versions as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the channels and get notified as we add new episodes each and every week. I want a special thanks to my earlier guests on the Coaches Corner panel, PGA Master Professional John Hughes and LPGA Teach Professional Jamie Leno-Zimron, and of course, my very special guest, Chief Operating Officer of Ship Sticks, Geoffrey Skoch. Thank you very much again. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Next week, I'm on vacation. I'm heading up to Indiana to French Lick Resort. So I'm heading up. Unfortunately, I won't be golfing where I would have shipped my sticks with you guys, but I'm not golfing. This is just a personal trip. But I want to thank everybody for tuning into the broadcast. And thank you again, Jeff, for joining me tonight. I will see you in 2 weeks on Golf Talk Live.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. We'd like to thank this week's Coaches Corner panel, and a special thank you to tonight's guest. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. And be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on Golf Talk Live, send Ted an email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.